Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, that subscribe and maybe that notification bell too. All really, truly does help out the channel, and let's crack on with today's first story. Now, today's first story comes from a throwaway account which says, my fiance almost died in a car accident. That's when my mother-in-law told me he cheated on me with an ex. Now he's recovering well, and I feel so guilty for wanting to end it. So you're already getting the warning there in the title itself, but just to reiterate again, it does involve car accidents. So if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are down in the description as always. Thank you so much. And it starts off, I feel like a horrible person. We are supposed to get married on August 20th in a small ceremony. I've, female 33, been with my fiance, male 34, for 6 years, engaged for 1. The best years of my life. He's brilliant in every way. Or so I thought. The accident happened 6 weeks ago. A drunk driver hit my fiance's car. I spent the worst night in my life in the hospital waiting for answers from the doctors, and he went through hours and hours of surgery. His parents and brothers were also there waiting. I've always loved his family, and they me. His mum is, or was, one of my favourite people, and we got along very well. She was happy to have me as her first daughter-in-law. She's religious, and when my fiance was hovering between life and death, she was worried about his sins, so she told me that he cheated on me about 2 months ago with an ex he bumped into. She explained that it was because of the wedding and the stress of planning it. Apparently, I've been both stressed out and stressing him out. He had a weak moment, it was a one-time thing, and he regretted it so much. He asked his parents for advice on what to do, and they told him not to say anything. As long as he's remorseful and as long as it was me he wanted, he should forget about what he did and move on. His whole family knew. After the hospital, he moved back to his parents' house because we live in a flat without lifts. I visit him every day. I haven't told him that I know, and his family is acting like nothing has changed. They are very happy he's doing better, and understandably so. And my presence by his side is very helpful according to him and his family. Now both fiance and his parents are talking about us being able to get married on the day we set after all. I feel awful because I don't want that. Our relationship was over the moment I found out about the cheating. I stayed because I loved, still do, him, and I wanted him to feel better. I couldn't break his heart while he's recovering. I also thought the wedding was postponed and that we would have more time for him to recover fully and be strong and independent again, so I could leave with a clear conscience. I tried to speak to his mum today, but she just started hyperventilating and kept telling me not to do this. She made a mistake by telling me, and that I shouldn't take advantage of what she said in desperation to punish him and kill his spirit. He's still recovering and he needs me. I've been thinking since my talk with his mum about everything, and I'm so angry at him. I'm ashamed that even when I was worried about his life, I was very angry and resentful. We were supposed to have our wedding in this beautiful manor house that he found that's all inclusive, with our most important people. My best friend is a DJ and my parents paid for the whole thing, even though they are much poorer, so I don't know where the stress has come from. We fixed everything in a week. I'm so angry and I've kept bottling it up since the accident. I'm afraid I'm going to explode soon. And of course, we do have an update to this story as well. Now, from the title itself, I'm not sure why you would feel so guilty for wanting to end it. You know, he's the one who done wrong in this. And I feel bad that, he was in a car accident, of course, but he's the one who still went to cheat on you. He's the one that did cheat on you. And he blamed it on a moment of stress. So what happens in the future? Another time he gets stressed, he's going to go and find his ex again and have sex with her? I mean, and he wasn't the one to come up to tell you. His mum only told you because she was worried about his sins, and that's why she told you. And the family all knew about it, so you're not just dealing with one liar, you're dealing with a whole pack of liars. And whenever I approach, infidelity stories, I come from my point of view, and I think if I was looking at that person, my partner who had cheated on me, would I be able to trust them in the same way again? And to me, absolutely no, I wouldn't. And the same goes with the family. They've all lied to me. They've all lost my trust. Would I be able to trust them again? No, I wouldn't. And that would answer the question for me. And so I think coming into this, you don't need to feel guilty about this at all. You've done absolutely nothing wrong in any part of this. You don't need to stay with a man just because, he was in an accident. But Farmer says, and quote, "So I don't even know where the stress has come from." Then goes on to say, "That's because there was no stress. It was just a lame excuse he gave to his parents. And they bought it hook, line and sinker and are now making you out to be the bad guy. They are a manipulative bunch and you'll be well rid of them." Schumer replies to that saying, "I was thinking that. The mum literally thought her son was going to die with the cheating on his conscience, so she told OP, probably hoping OP would be so worried and she would just forgive him. I really think her motivation was religious, like the guy was gonna die, get to the pearly gates and be denied entry because of the cheating. But if mum could convince the girlfriend to forgive him, then St. Peter couldn't have much else to say, right? I really think mum was trying to do his final confession for him, so he would have a squeaky clean soul when he reached heaven." Maya Becker says, "Your future mother-in-law is solely looking out for her and her son. She's not concerned about you and your feelings. She told you something devastating only because she was worried for her son's soul if he didn't live. Now she's wanting you to keep quiet only because she will look bad for telling you. Your fiance is looking out for himself too. He knows what he did was wrong. That's why he confessed to his parents and not to you. Please look out for yourself because these people are not." Need a Countdown Clock says, "A very popular saying Redditors use applies here. Never set yourself on fire to keep others warm." ETA, holy moly, thanks for the awards. I'm glad someone else uses holy moly. Minnie replies that saying this, "OP has every right to feel angry, hurt and resentful. A fiance betrayed OP in the worst way possible. OP, you've more than fulfilled your duty by standing by him thus far. More than he deserves in my opinion. You've been supportive and you've taken care of him. Now it's your turn to take care of yourself. You were entitled to the truth and by hiding it, your fiancé and his family showed how little respect for you they have. They had every intention of letting you go through with a marriage based on a lie. Break up with him and find someone who truly deserves you and will respect you and be faithful." Hannah Collard says, "No, mother-in-law is being incredibly manipulative by asking you not to do this. You are not doing anything except what's best for you after your fiancé stepped out in your relationship. He might have been stressed. You might have been stressing him out. Neither are excuse for cheating. It's admirable you stuck around for his recovery, but you don't owe them, any of them, that grace. You did it out of love and that's that. Now you have to give yourself that love and figure out what you want for your life and if he has any place in it." And one more from I Sat You Steve who says, "Mother-in-law sounds like a nutball. If she wanted to confess his sins, go to a priest or pastor. Mother-in-law discloses infidelity, sees fiancé's reaction and tries to manipulate the fiancé. I'd say tell him what you know about the cheating and the mother-in-law's other stuff and walk away, letting them work out their shit for many days to come. This is no excuse. This family sounds toxic. For example, if my adult child told me they were cheating on a partner, which is actually happening, what would it say about me to go to the partner and say they cheated on you and it's your fault? I think it would say I have other intentions." So then OP comes in with their update which says, "I told my fiancé that I know about his infidelity and cancelled the wedding. He still wants a second chance. I've written here 3 days ago before I talked to my fiancé. This is after I told him I know about his cheating. I started by telling my parents, who are paying for the wedding, about what happened and that I'm cancelling the wedding. Hopefully they can get back some of what they paid via their home insurance. I've told them that I'm going to pay the rest of the damages. My dad refused. I insisted. It's not up to them. Since my fiancé still lives with his parents, I felt that I would be outnumbered if I went alone to end it. Text or call wasn't an option since he meant a lot more to me than that, and I really wanted to see his face and ask what the fuck. I also wanted him to see my hurt. I don't want it to be comfortable for him. Cheaters must see the hurt they cause and hopefully learn from it. I took my mum with me. When I told him that the wedding was off and the reason why, he started crying. He told me all the things they say in desperation. He was foolish, he didn't think, he was stressed out, he was scared, it meant nothing, he regretted it. He didn't want to tell me because it meant nothing and he didn't want to hurt me. I should give him a chance to prove himself and his loyalty. He can ask his parents to pay for the wedding. We can postpone the wedding indefinitely. I can take the apartment and he will live with his parents, as long as it takes for me to forgive him. I haven't cried so much as I did when I was listening to his bullshit and afterwards on my way home. How could he do this to me? He didn't give me a satisfying answer to why he did this to me, to us. I've cried myself to sleep every night since the accident, and yet I cried like I've just found out. I'm going to stay in the apartment that we bought together, and he will stay with his parents. Prices has gone down these last couple of months, and we both agreed that we don't want to sell for less than what we paid. But the moment it goes up again, we are selling. I've started packing his things now, and tomorrow I'm renting a van to move his things to his parents' house. Sorting out his stuff and packing his clothes made it real for me. I didn't expect it to be so emotional. Why do I still love him so much? He has been texting me and he has called me twice, and we talked mostly about mundane stuff, but also about us and our relationship. His mum has called me to say that she felt guilty for not advising him to come clean, but even for later divulging his secret to me without his permission. She was disappointed that I took advantage of her moment of panic, but that she understands that I'm hurt. She said he will do his best to win me back. I'm a bit irritated about the fact that none of them, including my parents, believe that it's really over, and I don't have the energy to prove my point either. I just need some alone time now, and some peace and quiet. And we hear lots of stories like that where people come out of a relationship, even though they've been cheated on, they say they still love this person. I think it's still part of like the grief of the relationship being over. You've been together a good few years, I think it was 6 or so it said in this post. You spent a lot of time together and you love this man enough to be engaged to him. To then find out that he had cheated on you and broke your heart, of course that's going to hurt. The love isn't just going to disappear immediately like that. You're still going to grieve the relationship, what you had, and it's going to take a moment, I'm sure. But a lot of people say, and I'm not saying it will be the same for OP, but I certainly hope it is, that, you know, once the fog is cleared, that they feel free again, and hopefully the grief of the relationship won't last forever. But what do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it? What do you think about ex-future mother-in-law? Holy moly, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from SouthKnee4246, who says, am I the arsehole for not making enough dinner for my mother-in-law and ignoring her completely? I, 29 female, live in an apartment with my husband, 31 male. Recently, my mother-in-law has come to visit since she is trying to relocate here. She's been staying with us since hotels and Airbnbs are at an all-time high. She's been here a month and it's been, well, difficult. She doesn't help with anything like cooking or cleaning. She also takes my husband's car without knowledge, so I have to give him a ride to work. She also throws away stuff she thinks we don't use. She also has been going shopping lately, buying decor. She was only supposed to stay 2 weeks to see if she likes it here and try to find a home. It seems like she wants to relocate here and she has found her home with us. I've had conversations with my husband to get her to leave. He asked and begged, but she still doesn't want to leave and he doesn't want to disrespect her. I remained kind, but I couldn't take it anymore. I went to the guest room she is staying in and cleared it out. I took all of the clothes out of the dresser and put it into her suitcase. I also put all of her things on the floor. She came home and yelled at me and got into a fight with my husband. She then apologized and said she couldn't afford the plane ticket back, and if my husband books it, she leaves. Well, he did it for yesterday. She refused to go, but it was the cheapest ticket on the cheapest airline, and that she was worth more than that. We got in another fight and she got a hotel for the night. Well, today she came here and opened the door, wasn't locked. She then passed us and put all of her things in the empty guest room. She went to the living room where we were and said, well, are you guys ready to apologize? We were dumbfounded, of course. I stormed to my bedroom and locked myself in there. I took a nap and came out and they were both watching TV. It was around 6 at the time and I started getting dinner ready. When I started, my mother-in-law went and started trying to talk to me, basically saying I should apologize. She noticed I was ignoring her and started yelling. I kept ignoring her until she went with my husband. I blocked out their conversation. I was quiet and set the plates. I only made enough servings for both me and my husband. I sat and ate and they came to do the same. She saw there was only 2 plates and went to go look for more food. There wasn't any. I don't know how it happened, but we got into a huge fight and I ended up throwing all her clothes outside and screaming at her for all my neighbors to see. She was crying and my husband was begging for me to stop. I drove to my friends, shaking and mad. I passed out and woke up to paragraphs upon paragraphs of not just my husband and mother-in-law, but sister-in-law and brother-in-law basically telling me I'm an arsehole and a stupid bitch for disrespecting mother-in-law and embarrassing her. Well, I have no idea what to feel. So am I the arsehole for how I reacted? Now, usually in a situation like this, I would come into it and I think there's probably a better way to be dealing with it, but I think you've tried a lot already. I mean, you bought her a plane ticket and she bloody turned up the next day and just chucked her bags in the room. So the only glaringly obvious thing to me is that your husband and you are not on the same page, and that needs to be sorted out immediately because clearly mother-in-law is walking all over you because your husband's allowing it as well. And we got another one of those situations, but family, when brother-in-law and sister-in-law are getting involved, well, you take mother-in-law in then. But Velocity G4 says not the arsehole. Tell your husband, you go or she goes, as this is a problem with him being a mama's boy. Tell your sister-in-law and brother-in-law they can take her in if they're so concerned. I'm wondering if she even still has a place to return to. The Fiona says not the arsehole. Mother-in-law sounds like a boundary stomper. You need to have a long conversation with husband about this and why it is unacceptable. You try to be nice. You tried to be a little more direct, and clearly she wasn't taking the hint. To have the balls to come back after being essentially thrown out of your house and ask you to apologize. Uptown Brown Girl says everyone sucks here. Mother-in-law never intended to leave. She was moving in permanently. That doesn't have to be an issue, but it does require direct communication, not passive-aggressive cues. You and your husband need to get on the same page and present a united front. And he in particular needs to represent what you've both agreed to in interactions with his family. If there's heat to be taken, he needs to take it. You've got to dial down the drama some, setting 2 plates and just enough food for 2, throwing mother-in-law's things out on the lawn, packing up her things without discussion. These sound like a Real Housewives episode on Bravo. I get that you're frustrated, but you have to figure out a more direct, less drama-filled way to handle it all. Brother and sister-in-law can shut up or take mother-in-law in. Cat Lady T says, I can't believe how many people are saying not the arsehole when it is so clearly everyone sucks here. Like I want to say it in a big sparkly gif. These people are all terrible. So much infantile drama and passive-aggressive behavior. Yes, mother-in-law started it, but if you are screaming and throwing your mother-in-law stuff out of the house instead of aligning with your spouse in private and then calmly together, drawing a boundary, that mother-in-law needs to be out by X date and kindly but firmly following through on that date. And guess what? You're the arsehole. Grow up. Jay Hun says everyone sucks here. The people here telling you otherwise are not your friends. I'm not suggesting you're the biggest arsehole. Definitely mother-in-law and husband win the gold and silver. But messing with her stuff and throwing her clothes in the street while screaming mean you are no longer blameless. Your behavior was dysfunctional and I get it, but don't justify your rage. Take responsibility for your part of this whole situation. Giving yourself a pass is the type of thing that made your mother-in-law the way she is and created an environment for her to behave this way. Don't be like her. Taking responsibility for your actions does not mean that your mother-in-law can come back or that what she did was in any way okay. Mother-in-law does need to apologize and I'm not sure she will, but you can rest knowing that you owned up to your part. And one more from STS who says not the arsehole. Time to tell your husband it's me or the mum. You tried communicating with him. You tolerated her disrespect in your home for more than twice the length of the time she was supposed to be there. You need to tell your partner that he married you, not her, and that it's your home, not hers, and he needs to choose. Now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? How would you have dealt with it? Do you agree with OP's behavior? Do you think they overstepped maybe slightly? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for getting involved, being awesome, just being incredible on the daily means the absolute world. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys, and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs. Brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today